What's up, everybody? Welcome to Cult of Collectors with a new episode. We are with Adam, who is the director of Jason Goes to Hell. That is what he's what we all know him for. I mean,
Yep.
it's a part of this beautiful box set that a lot of us collectors got. So, yeah, welcome to the show. And of course, always with John Low IQ Media.
It is
Hello,
great
everybody.
being here with you guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
We
My
really-
pleasure. My
I
pleasure.
really appreciate it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. John's more of the behind the scenes kind of guy, so he definitely has some questions for you.
I love it. I love it.
Mhm.
And by the way, that box set is badass. It's pretty amazing box set.
Do you have your own?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty incredible, actually.
Nice.
When it came out, I never seen so many people posting that they had got it. It's like one of the most bought box sets I've ever seen in physical media, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And also, I thought it was amazing that they stood by it to such a degree that when there were the few errors that were found,
Mhm.
on my disc on part 10 and on part 3, all you had to do was contact them. They immediately sent you the replacement discs. Didn't even ask you back for the other discs for the ones that they had originally.
Yeah. Arrow did that with Donnie Darko.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, it's pretty cool to see them stand behind the materials so strongly.
Oh, someone's asking how they're asking how you are.
Oh, I'm good. I'm very well, actually. Thanks for asking. That's awesome. Yeah, no, I'm really good. I mean, other than us having a strike that we don't see any end in sight for, everything else is pretty amazing.
All right. So,
Yeah.
are you like all over the place when it comes to like studios, or are you set with one studio?
No, I've always been freelance. Right after Jason Goes to Hell, I was given a 3-picture deal at New Line, and then Ted Turner bought New Line and basically said there'll be no more horror at the studio, which is hilarious. Yeah, it's hilarious for the studio that Freddie built.
I was about to say.
Yeah. He wanted to make things like Gods and Generals. Like, he was really into Civil War epics, and so they stopped making horror films and started making Civil War epics. That did end. That period of time ended.
Oh, of course.
Line. Yeah, because it couldn't sustain itself. So the studio was making no money. So, but no, I've always been a guy who goes from studio to studio, and then I've got my own production company where I do most of my work now.
Is that Skeleton Crew Pro thing?
That's us. That's
nice.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually found your profile from a fellow Instagrammer friend. He's a YouTuber as well. His name's Brendan Mitchell. He had a picture with you because he met you, I guess. It was either a convention or a signing of some sort, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I was like, "Oh, that's the director." So he had you tagged in the comment, and I was like, "Oh, let's try to get him, see if he wants to join."
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, no. It's we're right now. I'm in sort of like a season of really doing a lot of interviews because of we're producing the documentary about the making of Jason Goes to Hell right now, Hearts of Darkness, the making of the final 5.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's going to be out later this year for the 30th anniversary. Yeah, so it's that's been really cool. So I've been hitting the convention circuit a lot. I was just at Monsterpalooza last month. So I'm going to be running all over the country showing the film and talking to fans, and we're going to be at a lot of festivals with it as well. So
now I'm forgetting, was Kane Hodder your Jason?
You damn right he was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because certain ones I forget he was in.
Yeah. Kane was 7, 8, 9, and 10. That's substantial.
7, 8, 9, and 10. So he's actually takes Manhattan. That's one of my favorites too.
Oh, yeah. Takes Manhattan, New Blood, and X.
Yes.
Yeah.
All
That's
fun
Kane.
movies.
That is Kane.
I like
He's
how
amazing.
you incidentally kind of started the Jason versus Freddy thing too.
Yep.
You talked about how that was like an accident when you threw that in the movie. Well, I mean, it wasn't an accident you put it in the movie, but it's the accident that you didn't know that they were kind of wanting to go that direction.
Nope. They did not ask for that. That was not a studio note or anything like that. I was putting in all these Easter eggs into the film.
Oh, okay.
because of that, I was sitting around my two roommates. One was my co-writer on the movie, and the other one was one of the editors on the film, who happened to be Sean Cunningham's son, Noel Cunningham. We've been best friends since we were 8 years old. And my roommates were getting stoned to the bejesus, and I was not, because I had to finish making the movie.
Of course.
And I was trying to figure out, like, where, what other cool, in jokes, in gags can I put in the movie, and how much more connectivity can I have?
Yeah.
And I suddenly was like, wait a minute, doesn't New Line own Freddy outright? Like, isn't it theirs entirely? And it was.
Yeah.
And I said, I know who's going to drag Jason to hell at the end of the movie, because they had just done Freddy's Dead the year before. And I was like, okay, we got to have Freddy pull him down.
There you go.
And I called up my two executives, Mark Ordesky and Mike DeLuca, and woke them up in the middle of the night. Had this great idea. I said, can I have the glove and Freddy's laugh? And they were like, what do you want it for? And very suspect. And I told them what I wanted the ending of the movie to be. They could not have been more supportive. And
nice.
The very next day, a guy showed up on my set with the glove in a locked box. It was quite something. So it was actually Bob Shea's glove that hung in his office.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, because were you kind of setting it up to where you wanted to do the directing of that Freddy versus Jason?
Well, what happened was, right after Jason Goes to Hell happened, Dean Lorey and I both pitched New Line. They brought us in because they wanted to know what kind of movie we would make.
Yeah.
And so we had a really good take on the movie. It was really good. And fun, and way gorier than what ended up getting made.
Yeah.
And they New Line loved it. And then Wes Craven came in and was like, look, and by the way, I was raised in the Cunningham household.
Yeah.
So Wes Craven was Uncle Wes.
Oh,
so
nice.
I've known Wes since I was a little boy. And so Wes Craven came in and said, look, I have an idea for a new Nightmare movie, and I want to do New Nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
And New Line said, I guess we got to put a pin in Freddy versus Jason, because Wes wants to do another Freddy movie. So they went to do that. And then things got really messy, and it took 10 years for that movie to get made. So by that point, I had moved on. Dean had moved on. We were, he was doing TV shows. I was doing other films.
Mm-hmm.
So it was not going to happen. And honestly, for me, look, I think Freddy versus Jason is terrific. But I think the one thing that I will stand by on that movie that pisses me off as a fan, and as somebody who made a Friday the 13th movie, there's all this, rightly so, protection of Robert Englund around the part of Freddy, which they should, because he is Freddy Krueger. When they tried to get, an incredible actor to jump in and play Freddy, Jackie Earle Haley's amazing, but the audience rejected it. And I get why, because, Robert Englund is Freddy.
Yes, he is.
And for my money, Kane had spent, the better part of a decade playing Jason by that point.
Yes, he did.
And he, you would be tough to find a large swath of fans that don't say that, Kane is their favorite Jason. Everybody says Kane is their favorite Jason.
Yes.
Every convention I end up going to with Kane, Kane's line is around the block a couple times just to, come and meet him and have him threaten you and sign your thing.
Put you in a headlock too.
And so I find it incredibly disrespectful that Kane did not end up playing Jason in that movie. I think it's ridiculous. And
I agree.
And I know Ronnie Yu he didn't like the Friday the 13th films. Like, he was very vocal about that. He was not a fan of those movies. I still thought it was incredibly disrespectful of the audience to say, hey, we're not going to give Jason the same respect we gave Freddy. So I think that's kind of gross.
I can agree with that. Yeah. Cause, I'd be all up for a new Freddy versus Jason, like a new revamp of it. Like, because everybody's doing the reboots and remakes and all that kind of stuff.
Requels and
yeah, all that stuff. So, and I know that Robert Englund at one point said that he wouldn't mind doing one more as Freddy, but it's like, well, then let him go out with an actual good bang then as Freddy with another rendition.
I agree. And look, Kane and Robert are good friends, and so I know those dudes would love to work together again.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Kane actually, in the documentary that's coming out, Kane makes fun of Robert a couple times. It's pretty funny. It's pretty great. It's pretty great.
Maybe you should pitch again.
Yeah, yeah. It's the powers that be now are so vast. There are so many people involved in this franchise now, and now now the lawsuit has been settled.
Yeah,
it would be working for some pretty dubious folks.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, wouldn't be a great experience for whatever writer director ends up on that movie. So yeah. I love making that. I love making Jason Goes to Hell. I love that movie, and I'm still very proud of it. But I know how tricky it is now that horror is such big business. Because when I was making Jason Goes to Hell, horror was still treated like porn.
Yeah,
I mean, we were not considered important filmmakers. We were not considered that we were doing something great. Now horror, everybody wants to do horror. Like horror is the thing. But it was not that way in the early 90s, that's for sure.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, we were the idiot stepchildren, not allowed to come to the big boy tables. So yeah, I think that it would be a tricky thing, especially if you're dealing with Jason and with Freddy.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of people who protect those two entities.
Yeah.
And that's, as a filmmaker, that is hard to deal with. I mean, look, on my movie alone, all I had was Sean Cunningham, right?
Yeah.
That was the only one I had to deal with. And Sean was like a dad to me growing up. And I can tell you, like, working with Sean was a nightmare.
Really?
Yeah, well, I mean, the day I got the job, he told me I could have the job as long as I got the fucking hockey mask out of the movie, quote unquote.
Huh. Oh, so like instead of it being Jason the whole time, it was that little creature.
Well, it was. I mean, we never really thought of it as a creature. We that was the end of the movie, so that we had a plot device to get so you get Jason into a body and make him Jason again, which was what I wanted to do. But no, Sean hated the mask. He thought the mask was stupid.
Huh.
He's always thought the mask was stupid.
Speaking of Wet Movie 1, he actually just chimed in the chat. Brendan.
Yeah. Oh, good. Oh, that's awesome.
What boys? Adam is one of the coolest guys. And then
that's very sweet.
Then he says it was amazing meeting him at Monster Palooza.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah.
Oh, he keeps chatting.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch the Jason Goes to Hell documentary.
Nice.
He actually got to see, Brendan got to see a little bit of we were showing 4 minutes of footage at the
Monster Palooza.
At Monster Palooza, yeah. So it was pretty cool. So people there got to see a little bit of a sneak peek.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, because I know that there was that recent, I guess you could say, making of Pennywise or something like that. That just recently came out. Yeah. So that's cool. I like stuff like that.
I've got a really cool I've got a great director on this movie and a great editor. And really, when you're making a documentary, you collect all this footage. We collected over 100 hours of interviews and all. It's a crazy amount of stuff. I mean, my interview alone on the movie, I was in front of camera for 12 hours.
Damn.
So really, it's exhaustive. And so when you have a director on a doc, they have to have a vision for what the documentary is. They have to really see what the shape of that movie is going to be. And then you have to have an editor who can go through that 100 hours of footage and help to create the shape of that movie and tell a good story.
Yeah.
And so, I got this guy, Michael Felsher. Michael is a brilliant guy. He was George Romero's personal documentarian for 15 years. Before he died, before he passed away. So that's kind of amazing. And then this guy, Eric Beatner, who has been one of my best friends since I was 14 years old. And he's a 10-time Emmy-nominated editor for The Amazing Race and Fear Factor. And he's like this absolute genius in, behind the editing screen. And so these two gentlemen really are the ones who crafted this movie into what it is. So, you know, I produced the film and my company produced the film, and, you know, so my partners, Deborah and Brian, and myself put that together. But really, you know, and a wonderful woman named Ali Rivera, who was the other producer on the movie. But it's these guys who really crafted a film. I can't wait for people to see it. It's so fun and funny and really sweet. It's a really cool movie. It's cool. By the way, tons of behind the scenes footage from K&B.
Nice.
Yeah, that they gave us. They gave us, I think, like 12 hours of behind the scenes footage that no one has ever seen.
What did Brendan say? Michael is a friend of mine. What?
Oh,
great dude, Rich.
Yeah,
Pictures
Red
is
Shirt
amazing.
Pictures.
Ah, okay. And it looks like one of our friends joined us too.
Hey guys.
Hey, how you doing? Nice to see you.
Yeah, our friend Jody usually is with us, and he wasn't able to make it tonight because they're going to be moving and a whole bunch of stuff.
Sure.
And apparently their baby, hopefully gets better soon, was diagnosed with COVID.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Dad.
Well, my best wishes.
I was
Likewise.
I was kind of going to ask you,
yeah,
kind of where did you? Because I've read about how you got your start a little bit, but I want you to kind of talk to the audience a little bit about it. I did see that you had done a lot of plays, like I guess when you're a teenager.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, well, you're kind of like Wes Anderson, because you can see his see off his his play experience in his movies, but I see that you got your start that way as well, leading up to Johnny Zombie, My Boyfriend's Back. Kind of like kind of talk us through that period of time in your life.
Sure. Well, I grew up in a family of mostly performers, but everybody was sort of in the business. I had two kind of famous uncles, actually. One, my uncle Joe Ellison, was the writer, director, producer of Don't Go in the House, the 1981 horror classic. And my uncle Ned played Eddie in The Burning. Ned Eisenberg.
Okay.
So Ned Eisenberg, who passed away last year, we lost.
Yeah. May rest in peace.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you. He was really important guy to me. He was not just my uncle. He was a very close friend, and I adored the guy. But anyway, he was he did, I don't know, 40 movies, and he did just on Law and Order almost 100 episodes of Law and Order.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, he was one of those guys that, like, he was that guy. He was in New York, that guy. Everybody knows him. They don't know his name, but they know who he is. And yes, so we I had them. My brother Kip played Kip Cleaver on the new Leave It to Beaver series for 5 years for Disney Channel and for TBS. So. My mother was a singer, so I had all these people, and I grew up in a little town called Westport, Connecticut, right outside of Manhattan, about 40 minutes outside of Manhattan.
Okay.
And so I went to a public high school, where the high school had been built around an existing theater, right? There was this huge theater, and the Doors played there. Jimi Hendrix had played there at one point, so it was a legit theater.
Yeah.
And so they built the high school around it. And that theater, we made so much money doing plays there through the high school that it paid for the football team.
Nice.
We paid for all the sporting programs rather than the other way around. Usually the arts. This was the arts completely paying for everything else.
Yeah.
So, right up the street from where I grew up, Paul Newman lived there. I used to sing at Martha Stewart's house for Christmas Eve parties.
Martha Stewart.
Yes. Yeah. She was
wow.
And so by the time I was 15, I had created my first theater company. And so I started teaching as well when I was 15. So the money that I made as a theater director, producer, choreographer ended up putting me through film school at NYU. So that's how I made my way.
Oh, okay.
So I went to NYU. I made a movie there called So You Like This Girl, which ended up winning, swept the NYU awards, and was nominated for the Student Academy Award. And it again, really like incredible group of actors and people that I got to work with. I don't know if you guys ever watched Reno 911.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, so Officer Dangle, the guy with the
Yes.
mustache and
Yeah.
short shorts, he's the creator of the show, Tom Lennon. He was the lead
Yeah.
of my student film in
Oh,
college.
Really?
That's awesome. Yeah.
And then if you ever watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine,
Yes.
Andy Samberg's partner, Joe Latruglio, the kind of short guy, dark hair, big eyes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He was the other lead of the film.
Oh.
And the girl in the movie, who at the time was my girlfriend, ended up being the co-writer and director of Can't Hardly Wait and Josie and the Pussycats. Deborah
Oh,
Townsend.
nice.
Oh no.
So I had this crazy cast, right?
Yeah.
And so the movie wins all these awards, and I get 2 job offers right out of school. One is to write for season 2 of Twin Peaks. So David Lynch and Mark Frost offered me that.
No.
And the other job I was offered was to go and work for Sean Cunningham, who I'd worked for as a teenager. That's where I learned all my film practice. And he said, "Look, you come to LA, you be my bitch for a year.
Oh,
And I
John.
will give you." Oh, what is that?
Go ahead, John.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. The best. The absolute best. So he said, "Be my bitch
I've
for a
got
year and I'll
both
give
of
you
them.
your shot." Awesome.
That's a better cover.
That's a great cover. Yeah, that's a great cover.
Oh yeah.
So we ended up, I ended up coming to LA. I had $300 in my pocket and no driver's license because I'd been living in New York for the last 4 years.
Mhm.
And I had $300 that I bought a car with that I couldn't even drive, but I lived in the car. And I was Sean Cunningham's slave. And I had brought this script that my best friend in college, a guy named Dean Laurie, had written called Johnny Zombie.
Oh, okay.
And I wanted Johnny Zombie to be my first feature. That was my dream, was to make this movie. And it was, it was a horror comedy musical.
Yeah.
So it fed into my love of horror, but it also, touched on a lot of the things that I did as a young person in theater, because I was a big musical theater director. And so I brought the script. I wanted to shop the script because I didn't want to wait a year to, and be Sean's slave for all this time.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, how do I speed this up? How do I get Sean to say yes? Right. I didn't want to hand him the script and go, "This is the movie I want to make." No.
Yeah.
I knew psychologically that would not work. So what I did was I had a lot of friends in catering in LA, and I got them to sneak me into charity events.
Oh, okay.
So I would show up in a full tuxedo to these events. I would ask women that I knew were powerful that could maybe help me to dance, and then I would pitch my movie. So Roger Corman and his wife were in a contest to see who could make the fastest, cheapest movie, and I was like, "Sign me up!" So I go out, I ask her to dance. We get on the dance floor, and I'm a pretty good dancer. It's kind of a thing. And she starts asking me about myself, and we're just having a lovely time. And I tell her that I'm a film student and I just graduated NYU and I won all these awards. And she was like, "Oh my God, what are you doing in LA?" I said, "Well, I'm trying to put this movie together. I'm working for Sean Cunningham." The minute I knew I dropped Sean Cunningham's name, I knew whatever it is I'm talking about, she's going to want to steal it from Sean.
Oh, okay.
So I pitch her Johnny Zombie. She loves it, loves the pitch, totally into it. Great. I then leave. She says, "Get me a copy of the movie. Like, get me a copy of the script." So it's like, I will deliver it personally to your office tomorrow. Done. I then get out of that dance. I run to Noel's house. I tell Noel, Sean Cunningham's son, I say, "Hey, dude," I tell him the story that I just told you. Knowing full well the first phone call he's going to make is to his dad. The next morning, I'm in the offices and I'm making a photocopy of the screenplay of Johnny Zombie. And Sean walks in, sees it on my desk, goes, "What's that?" I said, "It's a movie that I want to make." He grabs it off my desk, walks into his office, slams the door.
Wow.
About 90 minutes later, I hear, "Marcus!" So I come running to his office. By the way, if I sound like the Batman supervillain, the Penguin, when I'm doing an impression of Sean Cunningham, It's because Sean Cunningham is the Batman supervillain, the Penguin. Just letting you know. So I rush into his office, and he says, "All right, so I hate this script, but I love the title. So I'm gonna give you $1.5 million. You'll go shoot it in Connecticut." And I was like, "What am I doing now? Like, is what?"
That's
And
a treat right there.
he said, "The only thing is that I hate the writing, so I'm going to fire your writer and I'm going to bring in a writer. I'm going to bring in a real writer." And I said, "Then I'm not going to sell it to you." And he was like, "Wow, the ball's on you." I was like, "Well," I said, "Look, he's a brilliant writer." I said, "Do this. Fly him out to LA, put the two of us up in the cheapest shitty motel you can find, and give us 6 weeks to rewrite. Give us what the Writers Guild period is to rewrite, and we'll rewrite whatever you want to do. We'll do it.
Yeah.
And if you still don't like it after that, then you can hire another writer."
Okay.
And he fell for it. He totally did it. I was shocked. He flew Dean out, put the two of us up in the Holiday Inn on Sunset in the 405, and we wrote for 6 weeks and ended up with a really, really fantastic script that he loved.
Huh, okay.
So he was like, "Look, I love this script. I want to get this done." He says, "But it's really good. We need to get more money. I don't want to do it for $1.5 million. I want to get you more money, Adam." I said, "Great. I love more money. More money is awesome." So he says, "Problem is, I don't know what studio is going to go for this because it's such an odd movie."
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, "Well, instead of getting anybody to try to read this script," because here's the thing, the big problem in Hollywood, the big trick in Hollywood, nobody reads. Nobody reads. What happens is executives hire film school graduates who are like 22 to 25
Mm-hmm.
and have them read it and then write these awful like Cliff Note book reports on it called coverage.
Yeah.
And depending on whether a 22-year-old film school student likes your script, you might get somebody higher up the chain to read it or read their book report at the very least.
Yeah.
So I said, "Look, instead of having them read the script, why don't we read it to them?" He was like, "What?" I said, "Listen, I'm a theater guy. Sean was an ex-theater guy. Sean was a Broadway stage manager. I'm like, why don't we get a cast of actors and invite studio executives to a table reading of the piece with some great actors? Let's really advertise it as a show, and they're getting a free ticket to the show."
Okay.
So he's like, "I love that idea." I was like, okay, we had these incredible casting directors. So when we did our readings of Johnny Zombie, I had, this is no joke, I had 3 Tony Award winning actors at the table.
Nice.
I had the original Sweeney Todd from Broadway sitting at our table.
Oh,
I had Charlotte Ray, Mrs. Garrett from The Facts of Life was reading this.
wow. That's cool.
I had an amazing cast, but the person who played Johnny, this is the best part, the person who played Johnny was the guy who had lived next door to Dean and I for the last 3.5 years when we were at NYU.
Mhm.
Adam Sandler played Johnny.
That was oh wow.
So, and this is about 2 weeks before he got hired to do Saturday Night Live. So
I was about to ask, yeah, if it was
he was in LA trying to get work, trying to do
It was
stuff.
like his remote control days there.
Exactly. Exactly. And by the way, I knew all the people on remote control as well. So we were, Adam and I knew each other for years during school. So he came out, he played the role.
nice.
And we ended up in a bidding war between New Line and Disney. And I begged Sean, I begged him, please let us shoot this movie with New Line. New Line's the right place. They're totally going to understand the kind of movie I want to make. They're that kind of place. Yeah, Disney was basically gave us 3 times the amount of money that New Line would have given us. And Sean loves money.
Well, yeah.
Loves money. Sean Cunningham hates the Friday the 13th franchise. Hates it. Has no respect for it, doesn't understand why people like it. He does not get it. He loves the money it makes.
Yeah.
That's it. Sean is not a horror guy. Sean is a guy who is a bit, by the way, he's a fantastic producer. As a line producer, you could not find better. The guy is really, really good. He's not fun to be around, but he's very good at his job, right?
Well, I mean, a good producer, you want somebody that loves money.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
I had look. We were
Let's
talking
go.
before we started tonight. John and I were talking about how he's in Kentucky, and my producing partner now, Brian Sexton, who's been my producing partner for 15 years. Brian is from Kentucky, is from Lexington, and he loves money. He loves money, but he loves story.
Okay, yeah.
And we have a rule. Our company has one rule, and we never bend it, which is all three managing partners have to love the script before.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Well, let me tell you something. Sean didn't have to love a script. Sean had to love a paycheck. So Disney comes in, gives us all this money. We go to our first meeting at Disney, and they say to us, I'm not kidding, they're like, we love this film. We want to put it on a fast track to a green light and get this thing made. We only have one note. And we were like, okay, bring it on, man. What's the note? We've been working for half a year on this movie. Love it. And they said, yeah, could you get rid of the zombies?
What?
And we're like, but it's called
Johnny Zombie.
They said, yeah, could he seem, I don't know, like less dead and more like tired?
Oh, wow.
So I went back to Sean's office. I said, look, they're going to make a $9 million movie out of this. There's no way they're going to let a 22-year-old kid direct this thing. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
I said, and they're cutting the balls off this movie. I don't want to make this movie. I don't want to make this. This is a disaster.
Yeah.
I said, so I just made you a shit ton of money. Give me a movie.
Yeah.
And he said,
Right.
boy, do you got balls? I said, yes, I do. Give me a movie.
Cojones.
He said, all right, New Line is buying Jason Voorhees from Paramount. And if you can get that fucking hockey mask out of the movie, I'll let you write and direct it.
What was his reasoning kind of behind that? I would like to know, because I don't think you go into it in the documentary I saw. You interviewed
we go into it in the documentary that's coming, but I will definitely.
Well, if you don't want to give it away,
I'll answer the question. I'm happy to. Look, here's the thing. As I said earlier, Sean Cunningham, when he made the first Friday 13th, let's all remember, Jason Voorhees is an afterthought in the first movie. It's about Pamela Voorhees, a woman who's lost her child, who is so heartbroken over this that she keeps murdering camp counselors in the idea that somehow they're the ones who let her son drown.
Yeah, basically.
Right. Okay, so Sean made he made Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None with camp counselors. That's what he did. And by the way, he did it because John Carpenter made a movie called Halloween and made a ton of money.
Yeah.
Okay. Because let's remember, everybody gives Sean all these credits for being a horror guy. He's not. His first big hit was Last House on the Left. The movie he made before Last House on the Left is a movie called Together, which is a porn movie.
Oh, wow.
He discovered Marilyn Chambers, who, by the way, went to my high school, Staples High School in Westport, Connecticut. And in fact, Noel Cunningham played Marilyn Chambers' love child in that movie. He was a baby. That's her baby in that movie, in that porn movie.
Okay.
So he makes Last House on the Left, and Wes Craven goes on to make horror films. Sean makes a movie called Here Come the Tigers, which was a ripoff of the Bad News Bears, because the Bad News Bears came out and it made a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then that didn't work. It was a disaster. It was a terrible movie. Then he makes a movie called Manny's Orphans, which is the Bad News Bears, but with soccer. So he makes two Bad News Bears movies, both of them flop. Okay. He is running out of money, running out of time to figure out how to have a career in this business.
Yeah.
And he says, Victor Miller shows him the screenplay that ended up becoming Friday the 13th. And Sean said, well, Halloween was a hit, so we need a day of the year where this thing will become something that people watch all the time. Now, by the way, being a very smart guy, he picks Friday the 13th because sometimes there's two of those in a year.
Yeah.
So the movie will get rented on both those occasions.
Speaking of.
Damn Skippy. So, by the way, it's the first set I was ever on as a kid. That was my first work as a PA. I was 10
Oh,
years
nice.
old.
Okay.
10 years old.
Experience right there.
Ari Lehman went to the same schools. We all grew up together. So now Sean makes this movie about Pamela Voorhees. It's a giant hit. Paramount comes to him and says, "Hey, we want you to do part 2."
Mhm.
And he said, "Great, because I want to do exactly what John Carpenter wanted to do, which is John Carpenter wanted to tell tales of Halloween. He didn't want to tell Michael Myers movies.
I remember that.
Right. He had no interest in Michael Myers movies. He had interest in tales of Halloween, bad things that happened on Halloween.
Because originally it had a different title, right? The first Halloween, like something
The
to
babysitter murders.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now Sean says, I want to tell tales of the unluckiest day of the year, Friday the 13th. The studio comes and says, well, what about that Jason kid?
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, the kid in the lake?
The one that's dead?
They said, yeah, we want to make him the villain. Like her son is the one. He's like, that's a ghost at the end. That's not what?
Yeah.
Now, by the way, the ending of Friday the 13th, the only reason that scene with Jason is in it is because Brian De Palma made a movie called Carrie, and it was a huge hit, and the last scare was one of the big reasons it was such a hit. So Sean said, I'm going to go do that. So Sean never met a movie that made a ton of money that he wasn't willing to rip off entirely.
Okay.
Okay. So then he said, I'm not going to make Friday the 13th Part 2. I won't make it, but you're going to give me money, and I'm going to end up being one of the producers on the movie, so you'll give me money. So I don't care. Okay. His wife edits that movie, Susan Cunningham, who was like a mother to me and one of the greatest people I've ever known.
Nice.
And then his protege, Steve Miner, ends up being the director on the film. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they come to Sean and they say, we got this guy and we're going to put a sack on his head. And Sean was like, so the Elephant Man is the killer?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So part 3 rolls around. Steve Miner's going to direct that as well. And Susan's
3D.
Right. And they come to Sean and they say, hey, we got a better thing than the sack. He's like, well, what could be better than a potato sack? Wow, guys. Yeah. They say, we're going to give him a hockey mask. And Sean's like, you're shooting the movie in the winter? They're like, no, it's dead summer.
Yeah.
He's like, and I thought the potato sack was a stupid idea.
Yeah.
Okay, now follow this. So now you have a filmmaker who had no interest in making Jason Voorhees movies.
Yeah.
Who thought the sack was stupid and thought the hockey mask was stupider. Okay?
Yeah.
And the only thing Sean Cunningham is allowed to make for the rest of his life is Friday the 13th movies.
Okay.
You have to remember, Jason Goes to Hell was only the second Friday the 13th movie that Sean ever had any hand in making.
Okay.
You make any of them. But the problem is Sean wanted to go legit. Sean wanted to make movies with Sean Penn. He had all kinds of these. He had all these movies he wanted to make, right? These films. No one would make them with him. They would only make horror films. And eventually they would only make Friday the 13th movies with Sean. It's the only thing you get financed.
Yeah.
Here's what happens. Sean, who never made a movie with the guy in the hockey mask, is now synonymous with movies about a guy with a hockey mask.
Yeah.
So Sean hated the hockey mask. Hated it. And so the first order I get is you can make a Friday the 13th movie, but you got to get rid of that fucking hockey mask.
Yeah.
That's how that happened.
That's weird. Okay.
Hey, Sebastian, you got anything? I've been jumping in here.
Oh, that's okay. I really like that how you did the ending to pull the mask to hell.
Thank you.
Kind of like Carrie. So
yeah, but, absolutely. No, you're right.
Lots of crazy, like memorable things about your movie. Especially when I watched it as a kid. When he eats the fucking heart. That shit was.
Oh yeah.
That shit was awesome.
Yeah. In our first test screening of the movie, the very first time we showed the film to an audience,
Yeah.
there was a guy in the third row who, the minute that Richard Gant starts eating the heart, the guy threw up. Just threw up in the theater. And all of the New Line executives were in the back row high-fiving each other. They were so excited. They were so thrilled. They're like, we're going to make so much money.
I also kind of like the concept of that worm parasite.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be the identity of
The
Jason Voorhees, which kind of gave me like the Thing vibes, like parasite just keeps jumping.
Yeah, I can see that.
Dude, you're one of the only people to go to The Thing. Most people go like it's just like The Hidden, which was a movie I hadn't seen when I made.
No, but I agree with Sebastian on that. Yeah,
but it was like The Thing is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I love the idea of like not knowing where the killer is.
Yeah, it's just like, oh shit, he's the killer.
Yeah.
Or the fucking dog's the killer.
Yep. Yep. That's totally what the inspiration was The Thing. 100%.
Like the movie was so different from all the other ones is why it's a cult classic.
Thanks, man. Thank you. I appreciate that, Sebastian. That's
I do know some people that are writers and directors as well. They're actually from where I live, like the Central Valley, like near Fresno.
Okay. Sure.
You know, and it's a brothers. They're brothers, the Nelms brothers.
Okay.
They're the ones who did the movie called Fat Man with Mel Gibson as Santa Claus. Technically,
I know Fat Man. Yeah, I've seen it. I actually own a copy of that.
Yeah, I've had a pleasure of chatting with them at one point, and they're actually in the process of doing another project right now.
Oh, good. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And if you ever want to work with them, I'm sure they would be ecstatic for that. Honestly,
great. That's great. I like their film. It's funny that you bring up Christmas Horror because the last film I made, which is actually going to be premiering in North America in October.
Yay!
On Screenbox. I'm so freaking excited about this.
Nice.
Is a movie called Secret Santa, and it's to date my most award-winning movie. The movie has won awards all over the world.
Okay.
It's a Christmas horror-comedy. It is really funny and really brutal.
Already sold.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's not a killer Santa, so it's not that, but it is the most dysfunctional family ever getting together for Christmas Eve dinner. And for some reason, nobody knows why, but for some reason, everybody starts saying exactly what they feel about each other.
Uh-huh.
And then everybody starts doing exactly what they want to do to each other.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And it gets bloody. And Bob Kurtzman, the K of K&D Effects, Bob Kurtzman, who did all the effects on Jason Goes to Hell with Howard Berger, he did all my effects in this movie. He's actually, Bob's part of Skeleton Crew, my company. But Bob is also going to be directing a movie called Hunting Season for us next year in Kentucky.
Nice.
Awesome.
You just brought up something that made me actually have a really good question, because I recently just watched, and so did John. I don't know if Seabass actually got to see it yet. The Flash and effects. The effects now today compared to visual effects then.
Sure.
You know, the whole practical versus heavy CGI. You know, where do you stand on that?
Look, here's the thing. I stand on do practical effects whenever you can do practical effects. Take the time on set. I know that everybody says it's more expensive. It's a lie. By the time you end up doing everything you do to make the digital effects work, it costs just as much money and just as much time. It's just as labor intensive. And here's the thing. The reason why The Thing, the original, John Carpenter's The Thing, the remake of Howard Hawks' movie works. Why it works, there's not one digital effect in that movie. Not one.
Nope.
It's all practical, okay?
Yep.
If you watch the prequel from the early 2000, I think it was 2011, 2012.
Yep.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Okay, that movie is nothing but CGI, and it looks dated now.
Yeah, it does.
But Carpenter's film still looks like he made it yesterday.
Fresh.
Yep.
And that's that. Look, if you watch Star Wars Episode 4, if you watch A New Hope, and then watch Episode 1, Episode 4,
drastic measure.
It's like they shot it yesterday. Episode 1, you go, wow, did someone do this on their Commodore 64?
Yeah.
Right?
I still got one of those.
now, by the way, I will say this. For low-budget filmmaking, for ultra-low-budget filmmaking, I understand that sometimes you can't get blood to go in a certain direction. You can't spend all day trying to get little effects, nuances to happen. So I'm all for enhancing practical effects with a little digital. I think that's helpful, and I think it saves everybody a lot of headache.
Oh, yeah. Like Jurassic Park is a perfect example of that, actually.
It's amazing. It's a perfect meld. Perfect meld. It is.
It's great.
But by the way, again, because you have Stan Winston and because you have freaking dinosaurs on that set that are 12 tons.
Oh, yeah.
That are real, that they built. You ease the audience into this sense that everything is real. And that's a really big deal, man. It's like, look, let's be honest. It is ILM doing those effects.
Oh yeah.
And you're tugging the creme de la creme plus someone like Stan Winston. Well, yeah, stuff's gonna look great. So I am all for digital as long as it enhances what you've already shot.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Amount.
Yeah, I think they ushered in CG to think it would be a lot cheaper in the long run, and I think it's costing them a lot more.
Yep.
Yeah, and it don't look as good. Not right now.
That's why I brought up the Flash because.
But I did see Avatar finally. I got it, and it looks amazing. Like when it's done correctly and time's taken on it. Right. But I mean, how long did Cameron work on that movie?
Well,
most people don't have 12 years to make a movie.
The film cost $1 billion to produce.
Yeah,
that's what it cost. I actually have. It's very funny. The guy who did Steadicam on Jason Goes to Hell, who was my roommate in college, a guy named David Emmerichs, who's a brilliant camera operator and cinematographer in his own right. That guy has been working on Avatar for 8 years.
Damn.
On all the sequels. He's literally been with Cameron for 8 years working on it.
Wow, that's awesome. I mean,
and it's that's a lifetime, man. In our business, 8 years is a lifetime.
It is. It's funny because if you ever need more actors, because it sounds like you got a good hand in knowing a lot of people.
I do.
But recently we've had Eric Edwards on, who played the big fat vampire in Blade.
Oh, that's awesome.
We've had him on, and we've had Diane Franklin, who was on Better Off Dead with John Cusack.
I love Diane.
Know Diane?
I know her. She's amazing.
She was awesome to have on the show. She was very nice. Yeah. She did her French accent quite a bit.
She's amazing. She's amazing.
And I've had Charlie Talbert before too, if you know that name.
I don't.
No.
The movie Angus from 1995.
Oh, I love Angus. Yeah,
he's the guy Angus.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, he's fantastic.
He's terrific.
That's a great movie. I love
I'm friends with him on Instagram, so
I love it. That's awesome.
I'll send them your way.
Please do. Please do. He's terrific.
Awesome.
No, I actually since I landed in Los Angeles, I have been running a theater company that is part of Skeleton Crew.
Okay.
And Secret Santa is cast completely out of my actors. And a lot of them are people that you'll recognize because they work all the time. So I've been teaching acting and direction in LA for 20 some years now. So yeah.
That's cool. So, because you had mentioned Adam Sandler earlier, does that mean, because apparently he knew Jennifer Aniston just as long as he's been, like with school and everything. Did you know her then too, or
I did not know Jen. I did not know Jen. I met Jennifer. I wrote a pilot, television series pilot for the people who made Friends.
Oh, okay.
So I was there all the time, so I had to sit in on all their their tapings and everything. So I got to know the whole cast and crew of that show. So I met Jen then, but I didn't know her from school or back then. No.
Yeah, because apparently they've known each other since they were youngins. So
well, Jen and I are the same age as well. We're all the same kind of class. The
same group, same peers. Yeah, yes. I get that.
Yeah,
the golden age.
I was going to talk to you a little bit about, like, when I was watching the movie.
Yeah.
Well, when I watched it as a kid, but watch it now. But your connections, and then watching your documentary, your connections with the Evil Dead, and how much that Sam Raimi inspired you. But seeing the I cannot never pronounce that because I don't have the word. I don't have the word in front of my face, so I can't pronounce it. But when I seen that, I was like, that looks exactly like the prop from the movie, and you explained to me about it because you were talking earlier about getting the glove, getting Freddy's glove, and you said, well, Sam Raimi, whenever he brought me the Necronomicon, that he just handed it to you in a Ziploc bag, and how the difference in filmmaking it was.
It really is. It really is a difference. Look, I wanted the Necronomicon in the movie in the same way that I wanted the dagger to be from Evil Dead as well, that ends up killing Jason at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert. Because I felt as though, as a kid, when I watched Friday the 13th Part 2, okay, which happens 2 weeks, literally 2 weeks after the events of the first movie, okay, Jason Voorhees, who we saw in the first film in the lake, is still an 11-year-old boy who drowned in the lake.
Yes.
Okay, he's a little boy.
Yeah.
He jumps up, attacks Adrian King, pulls her down in the water. He's still a little boy because he's played by Ari Lehman, who I went to school with. So it's a little boy.
Yeah.
Somehow, 2 weeks later, this little boy has gained 140 pounds of body weight, has grown at least 3 feet, has gotten a full set of clothes that fit him perfectly, has learned how to read, because the only way you could find someone's address was to go in the white pages back then. There was no internet. So you had to know how to read. Has learned how to drive, because I don't believe that he walked through town holding his mom's head. Then not only that, he's got a hell of a sense of humor. Like, he's a really funny dude, Jason. Very funny.
Yes.
Because not only does he sneak into Alice's apartment, he then hides his mother's head in the fridge and then hides.
And waits.
Yes. This is going to be hilarious.
Yes.
And it's only when Alice opens up the refrigerator that he then jumps out and goes, "You saw her."
Yes.
Then he has to take her body back and mom's head back to his shack
without being seen
in the woods to put it up in his shrine. Again, needs a car for that. I don't see him just carrying Alice's body through town and the head in a bag. Okay, so again,
bring out your dad.
I'm 12 when that movie comes out, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is some bullshit. And I'm 12 saying that.
Crazy
right?
potholes.
It's right, exactly. Then, by part 4, he's hamburger meat. Part 5, he's not even Jason. Part 6, he's resurrected as a zombie corpse.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yeah.
So my feeling was, when I got to part 9, I was like, okay, none of this makes sense unless Pamela Voorhees, who would do anything to have her son back, anything,
sells her soul,
would have absolutely found the Book of the Dead.
Oh,
would
yeah.
have absolutely read from the Book of the Dead to resurrect her child. Now imagine she does that, but her son is this child at the bottom of Crystal Lake who is now under 30 years of sediment.
Yeah.
Who's only knows darkness and cold, right?
Mm-hmm.
And doesn't know where to go, doesn't know where his mother is. And then he peers through the dark water of Crystal Lake and sees his mother lakeside get her head cut off, which makes him rise to the surface, attack Alice. But again, he's only this little boy at this point. But the rage in seeing his mother murdered.
Yeah.
Well, if he's part of the Evil Dead, if he's a Deadite or a Revenant, and I love when people are like, Deadites are only black. I'm like, shut up.
Yeah.
I love all the Necronomicon historians that show up in the haters group. It's like, hey kids, filmmakers make this shit up. So your opinion of what the rules are, we don't care. We're canon, you're not. So now it's like, great, there's an evil spell that allows this kid with that rage to become anything. So now I believe in 2 weeks he's a full-grown man and he knows how to read and he knows how to think and he knows how to. Great, I'm with you. So
the potholes,
right? So Jason Goes to Hell, I like to think of as the Rogue One of the Friday the 13th franchise.
Oh yeah,
that's a pretty fair comparison.
Yeah, because
we cover the hole. We
rebirth.
get you to realize why there is a 3-meter hole in the Death Star that if you shoot down that thing, you blow up the whole thing.
I remember Family Guy making fun of that. Actually, it's like, how's the ship coming? And it's like, oh, there's like this one area, but it's like that.
But no one will ever shoot in that.
It's funny as hell, though.
Right. But that was my whole thing. It's like, how do I justify all this bullshit in the timeline? And I created something. Now, here's the problem. New Line didn't own the Evil Dead. So I couldn't say the Evil Dead. I couldn't say all the stuff from Sam's movie.
Yeah, all the Necronomicon or whatever.
But the K&B guys were doing Hearts. We're doing Army of Darkness, right? So they were shooting that, and they asked me, "Do you want to come up and meet Sam?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah, I want to meet Sam Raimi. What are you kidding me?" So I run out to the middle of nowhere and meet Sam Raimi. I end up puppeteering one of the Deadites, which was amazing and like incredible fun. And I said to Bob Kurtzman, I said, "Hey, I got this idea. I'm putting a lot of Easter eggs in the movie. Do you think Sam would let me have the Necronomicon?" I'm kind of using it to justify Jason's evil.
Yeah.
And he told Sam, and Sam handed me the Necronomicon in a plastic bag, in a Ziploc bag.
I think Sam was just like, I love that.
He did love it. He did love it. Now, the problem is the guy who made the Necronomicon, the guy who actually designed that Necronomicon, was pissed. I
don't know why he would be so upset, though.
Because he didn't get paid. He wanted to get paid. That's all. He just wanted to get paid. So Sam, Sam regretted doing that because he hurt his friend, and there was all kinds of upset about it. But again, I didn't know that, and all I asked for was the prop so I could use it in the movie. And so it's in the film. It's canon. I know there are people who are like, they don't like that he's part of the Evil Dead. Well, grow up. There's a lot of things they don't like. I wanted to make a movie. Look, honestly, here's the thing. I wanted to make a movie that actually respected the fans. My feeling about the logic holes in these movies was that it's a bunch of executives, and this is exactly what happens. They sit around and they go, oh, that audience, they're all idiots. They don't care. Just put boobs and blood in it and they're happy. And I'm like, no.
With no substance.
Right. We deserve a story. We deserve character. Look, here, and by the way, to that end, my biggest problem with all of these franchise horror movies, all of them, is that the first one is the reason they become a franchise, right? That first movie is badass. Every time. Yeah. Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. These movies are incredible films, right?
Yeah.
Because they scare the bejesus out of us. All three of the movies I just mentioned are fucking scary. And then they go to make the sequels. Now, by the way, Friday the 13th Part 2 is one of the rare sequels that is still really scary. The reason why is because we didn't know Jason Voorhees. We knew that this was a new killer. This was some new guy, right?
So much mystery.
Right.
Yeah.
By the third movie in all these franchises, we start rooting for the villain.
Yeah.
That's the problem, guys. They're not scary anymore. They're not horror.
Yeah.
You want them to kill the people.
Right. They're amusement park rides.
They come camp.
And they keep making the heroes, the characters that are going to die, they keep making them less and less sympathetic because they don't want you to be upset when they die.
Yeah.
So they intentionally make these characters thin. They don't give them a ton of life. And with Jason Goes to Hell, I was like, I want to go back to Jaws rules. Because look, here's the thing. Nobody ever cheers for the shark. No one.
No.
I cheer for the shark.
There you go. You're the one guy.
I have an entire bathroom that's dedicated to Jaws.
Well, dude, it's one of my all-time favorite movies, and for me, it's the single best directed film of all time. But here's the thing: you want Chief Brody to get home to his kids.
Yeah, of course.
You want him to survive, and that's the thing. I wanted to make a movie that had characters that you give a shit about, so that if they die, you're upset.
Yeah.
So that and also, okay, I got to hide the killer. So now the killer can come from any direction. It's not going to come from the place you think it's going to come from. So it was this sense of, I want to make something that's scary for the audience and not just another like, oh, great, how are they going to die?
It's going through the motions.
Yes, absolutely.
Which exactly you did. It kept everybody on their toes. It was a breath of fresh air.
But you do
in the series. Like it's so different. Like I don't even know how to explain it. I have one question. From the beginning of the movie,
I
think it's the Easter egg, but I'm not sure.
Sure.
I think on one of the sheriff's jackets it says Cunningham on the.
Yeah, it's Cunningham County. It's Cunningham County.
Yeah.
I put that in there just as a nod to Sean.
Good. I wanted to make sure that was what the thought was.
It absolutely was.
You also said you tried to throw in the first 7 minutes of the movie, like every trope from the rest of the Friday the 13th movies made at that point.
Every bad decision that a character can make, all in 7 minutes. Yes. Yeah. And I got Julie Michaels to do it, who is so beautiful and funny and amazing that it was like, okay, audience is totally going to be with this young woman who's adorable. And so we'll play all of, when she drops her makeup bag, it's one of my favorite things in the whole film. She comes back up and there's nobody in the mirror. It's this constant sort of like playing with the audience.
Yeah.
Well, and you keep going. I noticed throughout the movie you have the shower scene and the lights go off. The lights get turned off in the shower scene. You do it a couple of times in the movie.
Yep. Yeah. No, the light bulb burns out, so she goes to a shed to get a light bulb. I mean, it just every dumb choice for a horror movie character to do. But the whole idea behind it was this is a woman who's trying to lure Jason out. And so when you realize that she's actually a plant and that she is doing, by the way, I was offered to direct Scream right after this movie.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And again,
Uncle there's a fun fact we can share with the audience now.
Uncle Wes showed up and said, "Hey, I want to direct that movie," and I went, "Well, I guess I'm not going to be directing that movie now."
Fuck.
But it's all good. It's all good. But by the way, they offered me that movie because they watched Jason Goes to Hell and went, "Wow, this guy is already doing all this." I was doing all this, all the self-referential stuff. I was doing all the meta stuff without winking at the audience.
Yeah,
that's the difference. It's part of the plot. So it wasn't like, here are the rules of a horror movie. No, it was, here's a woman luring a guy who comes whenever you do these dumb things.
Yeah.
Yeah, you explained it in the documentary as you wanted to do a lot more world building in this.
Yes.
And kind of clear up the problems with the older movies, kind of congeal the story a little bit better.
Yeah.
I think you did a good job with it.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Thank
I
you.
agree with that.
Totally agree.
Oh, definitely. Do you personally have like a number one favorite movie?
Yeah, but it's but it's not. It's like my top 5 is almost all horror movies, which is hilarious. My favorite film of all time is All That Jazz by Bob Fosse.
Okay.
And it has been my favorite movie since I was 11 years old. So it's always been my favorite. But
I'm gonna have to check that out then.
It's an amazing film. It's an amazing movie. By the way, the only movie up till that date that showed an actual open heart surgery live in the film.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Oh
Yeah,
wow!
it's pretty badass. It's a
I
great
need to watch that movie.
Oh, so good.
Yes.
So good.
Because sometimes I know.
And it's Roy Scheider. It's Roy
Yeah.
Scheider's finest performance. This is
Oh,
best.
there you go. Yeah. Because I know people sometimes struggle to think about what their ultimate favorite movie is and stuff like that. Like me, I can honestly say that I do have a number one,
Which
and
is?
these guys know what it is.
What
It's
is it?
The Crow.
Oh, sure. I totally get that, man. It's a terrific film.
Oh, love that movie. And I know that they already basically made the reboot with Bill Skarsgård as the new Eric Draven and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, you know, when looking back at your work with Jason Goes to Hell, it's almost like you could have done like maybe one of the sequels or even maybe the reboot in itself.
Sure. I actually, Ed Pressman, who made the first film, who's the producer of the first movie, Ed Pressman and I worked together for a couple of years before he died. And he had actually talked to me about doing a Crow movie with him.
Oh,
So,
really?
Yeah. This is many years ago, but yes.
Rob Zombie was approached too, actually.
And I don't think that would have been a bad idea. Actually, I think Rob might have done a really interesting job with it.
He would have done a good job.
You know, I mean, his rock and roll cred, I think, would have made for an interesting.
Well, his visualness in general.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Real
Oh my
But
God.
I do have to say, Alex Proyas is. I mean, what he delivered in that first movie, it is so beautiful.
Yes, it is.
And if you haven't seen Dark City, which is the movie he followed it up with,
Yes.
I love Dark City.
wow, is that a great film?
Great
That
film.
is
Yes.
that movie is so good that Roger Ebert did the commentary track on that movie.
Oh, somebody just said that Jason Goes to Hell is their second favorite movie.
It's mid-level medium.
Oh, it's Ken. Yeah.
It's okay.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Thanks,
Yep.
man. Thank you. I appreciate that. Listen, by the way, Jason Goes to Hell isn't even my favorite Friday movie. So, you know.
Really? What's your favorite Friday?
Part 6.
Oh, okay. That's
Six
New
Friday.
Beginning, isn't it?
Friday.
Correct.
that is-
Unstable Freak
No,
says
that's
Adam
not
Marcus
New
for
Beginning.
Cream.
That's Jason Lives. That's Jason Lives.
That's Jason Lives.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
it's Tommy McLaughlin's movie. Tommy and I have been friends for years, and I adore Tommy. Tommy is really an amazing guy.
Did you get to meet Corey Feldman? Because I know he was a part of it. So
I have, and in fact, my wife worked with Corey a couple of years ago on 13 Fanboy. My wife Deborah is in 13 Fanboy, and her and Corey worked together on that. So yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
somebody just said you should direct Scream 7.
There you go. Okay.
Direct Unstable.
Yeah, because if you were approached before, why not now?
Absolutely. No, it's look, I mean, the great thing about having done Jason Goes to Hell, is it afforded me a career that, I mean, I've been working for 30 years in our industry. That's crazy. Like, that's a crazy, I am blessed to have had the career I've had. And, I mean, my wife and I did Texas Chainsaw together in 2013. And now I'm doing like this slate of movies through my production company where I'm making things that I've always wanted to make my whole life. So,
Well, if you need extras, we're here.
well, thank you guys. Please, we always need extras. That's something you always need. No, we're just really, and I'm also the philosophy of our company is that, I'm giving a lot of people a chance to make movies that have been in my business for forever and not given the chance, guys who've written great movies, but never got a chance to direct.
Yeah.
Bob Kurtzman, who has directed a lot of movies, but again, as directors get older, the studios don't come to you; they go to younger people, which I understand.
Yeah, they do.
But you know what? Bob's a great director and a visionary filmmaker, and I was like, yeah, I want to make the next movie with you. Like, done.
Oh yeah.
So, I'm working with an incredible writer, a guy named John Esposito, who won the Writers Guild Award for The Walking Dead for a couple of years.
Oh, there you go.
He wrote Stephen King's Graveyard Shift back in the day, and the guy.
Oh, nice.
The guy has got such a good eye. He's so talented, and I'm like, how have you not directed yet? Like, how is that possible?
Yeah, that's awesome.
We also get to hit subject matter. We're doing a film right now with a couple of lovely producing partners who brought us this movie called Fat Camp Massacre. and it's awesome
heavyweights.
because it's a big it does for people of size what Get Out did for people of color.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You know, and it's like it's attacking this you know, people can still be like outwardly cruel about people who are overweight.
Mhm.
And it's this big fuck you to body dysmorphia and to people who behave that way. And it's really funny and it's really brutal. It's probably the bloodiest movie we're making right now. It is just gallons of the red.
Nice.
But we get to tackle subject matter that I'm like, yeah, I want to tell that story. Like, let's do that.
Mhm.
So,
I understand.
yeah. No, it's a really cool movie. So we're just doing a whole bunch of stuff right now. So the documentary is going to be coming out later this year. Hearts of Darkness: The Making of the Final Friday, and Secret Santa is going to finally have its North American distribution premiere this October. So yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
But is it going to get a physical release?
We already have a physical release.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Yeah,
the only
I've
way
seen
you can get it. The only way you can get it is through us. Is through Skeleton Crew.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So secretsantathemovie.com.
Okay. You hear
And
that,
we've
people?
got-
Go to the website.
It's
Buy a
it's li-
copy.
By the way, it's limited edition DVDs and Blu-rays, and we've also got like all kinds of cool swag.
Nice.
It's signed by cast and crew, and it's pretty cool. But what's really cool is that there's a documentary about the making of Secret Santa called Naughty or Nice.
Okay.
And it's also about the making of Skeleton Crew, about the forming of the company. And what's wild is that the people at Screambox and Bloody Disgusting and Cinedigm, they didn't just buy Secret Santa; they bought that doc as well. So
Yeah.
that doc is going to be streaming as well. So yeah, so Skeleton Crew is going to have 3 new things out in the American marketplace later this year.
I actually, long while ago, I was like, if I were to make a movie, what would I make a movie about? And one day it just kind of came to me. I'm not the greatest when it comes to writing down, like, say, a story, but ideas, sometimes they just randomly pop
Sure.
in my head.
Sure.
And I wanted to call, the title, The Winds of October.
Mm-hmm.
And then the concept would be like taking the idea of the show Supernatural with the brothers, but also mixing that reality show Paranormal Investigators, you know, kind of mixing it together and then giving it one hell of a ride in a way to where it kind of resembles found footage, but not completely.
Sure.
So that's something I've thought of.
Sounds great. You should try to develop that.
I could try, but I'm not the greatest when it comes to writing down. So
I get it.
No.
Yeah, it's again, you know, I've spent my whole life trying to get good at this job, so it's a thing that you have to practice every day and work towards it every day. But it is attainable, you know,
Yeah.
and especially now, you know, when everybody has literally, you know, a movie studio in their pocket.
yeah, basically, yeah.
You know, you can write it, shoot it, edit it, and distribute it from this. It's kind of amazing.
It's pretty crazy.
Really is.
That is crazy. Yeah, because John right here is actually technically our producer of this, you know, stream.
Sure.
So he's in charge of the stream in itself when it comes to the effects, the countdown,
Totally.
the visuals, all of it. Yeah.
I'm not that great at it. I'm not a hands-on artist. If I could draw and do hands-on artwork, I could really work Photoshop and After Effects and stuff like that. I do my best, but I find the technology interesting. But the complexities of that software, if you're like really good at it, the sky's the limit with it.
Yep.
You know,
It's true. It is
Yeah.
true.
He's more the behind the scenes guy anyway, so he prefers, like, he was actually really excited for this one because it's the first time we're having somebody that's more behind the scenes than they are in, say, in front of the camera.
Sure.
And it's more his field.
Directors are somebody I follow when it comes to movies more than anybody.
Right.
Like that's how I've always been. I kind of follow the directors of movies more than actors and things like that. I tend to know a director of the movie more than an actor that was in it.
Right.
And it's just more interesting following the career of a director, you know, kind of following their trajectory through the movies, and you know,
I agree with that.
It's just my personal choice or personal interest.
What you're into, yeah.
Awesome.
Oh yeah. Do you have like your own personal favorite directors?
Me, yeah, yes, I absolutely do. I mean, I mentioned Bob Fosse before. He was and he was my favorite theater director as well.
Oh, okay.
But no, look, I mean, I'm a huge Spielberg fan, like a stupid Spielberg fan. William Friedkin, I think, is a very underrated genius. Roman Polanski is one of my favorites. God, there's so many.
Well, now I know why Robin Williams said Fosse, Fosse, Fosse in the Birdcage.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
No matter how you feel about Polanski, Chinatown's probably one of the best movies ever made.
Totally agree.
I can agree with that. Chinatown's a really great movie.
Rosemary's Baby is insane.
That's a classic.
Incredibly well done. Again, I always try to separate the artist from the art, because if you start bringing personalities and stuff that people have done in their lives, I try not to judge, honestly.
Of course.
I have my own personal feelings about a lot of this stuff, but I look at the work, and look, even on, let's say, The Flash, right? That just came out, right?
Yeah.
So Ezra Miller seems like a pretty unwell dude.
Yeah.
Not doing so good, and that I hope that he gets help. I also hope that if he is convicted of any of the crimes that people have said he did, I hope he spends some time in a jail cell for it, because fuck that. That said,
he pays his dues for what he did.
Right,
exactly.
That said, I went to see The Flash second day it was out, and I went because I was like, okay, I'm not going to overlook the work of the director, the other actors like Michael Keaton, who's extraordinary in the movie. He's so good. And the other 1,500 artists that spent years of their lives making that movie because one guy is a dick. I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not that guy, So I'm going to look at the work. There are times if there's a director or writer that I really have a problem with, and I think that they've done something really repugnant, I'll have a tougher time spending money on their movies. That's definitely true.
It's funny you say that, because when we had Diane Franklin on, they mentioned, or she mentioned, what's that guy's name, John, that you were, because I didn't know who that was. That was the nerd kid?
Yeah, Dan Snyder. Yeah.
Dan Snyder. Yeah, because there's, horrible stories going on around him too.
Awful.
Yeah.
Awful. Look, and by the way, listen, I think it's great that there's a disinfecting light that's shining on all of these dill holes. Like, I'm it was funny because I was just talking about this with my editor on the documentary, and there's a story, kind of a little bit of a famous story about Jason Goes to Hell, when Julie Michaels was running through the woods at the beginning of the movie, when Agent Marcus is running through the woods, and she had to do it a couple times, right? There were a couple times she needed to do the run, and I suddenly noticed that I noticed blood coming from her footsteps, and I was like, Julie, what's going on? And she's like, nothing. I'm good, boss. I'm good. I was like, okay, but honey, what's up? Like, what are you doing? And again, I was 23 when we were shooting this. It was 23.
Oh, okay.
And so she said, I'm ready to go. And I said, Julie, why aren't you wearing the booties? We gave you booties. She goes, no, it looks better on camera without the booty. I said, I don't care how it looks. You're not getting hurt. I said, show me your feet. So she showed me, and her feet were cut up.
Oh.
And I swept her up off of her feet. I picked her up immediately. There she is in her towel and her Velcro towel.
Yeah.
I picked her up and I walked her to medical, and we took care of her feet. Okay. Now, the immediate reaction from people is, oh, are you guys dating?
Oh.
And I'm like, no. And,
I was helping her.
and by the way, nor would I ever date someone that I was directing in a movie. Are you kidding me?
Well, like, James Cameron did it to Linda Hamilton.
Well, here's the thing. If you're already married or one second, guys, I'm sorry. If you're dealing with something that, you know, you're in a pre-existing marriage. Look, my wife and I now work together on every movie, right? That's different.
Yeah.
But I'm a 23-year-old bachelor. I'm not trying to like get it with my cast. That's just nuts.
Yeah.
And I don't understand all of these people that do. Like, I don't get it. I understand that romances happen on set. That happens, okay? But it just never even crossed my mind to do that.
Yeah.
It's just not okay.
No, I get that.
Professional. So.
And I will tell you, I have no friends that would behave that way either, because it's like it seems to be running rampant.
Yeah.
I have worked for some people that you're like, wow.
I hate to ask the question, did you work for the Weinstein brothers at all?
Yes, yeah. And they've tried to hire us a couple times, Dev and I. Look, I mean, Bob was usually the person we dealt with. I only met Harvey once.
Okay.
Bob Weinstein was just, you know, gruff,
Okay.
which is fine. But no, Dev and I worked for Kevin Spacey for a couple of years.
Oh, okay.
And you know, that sucks.
Yeah.
Like, that's awful, you know, because it doesn't matter who's getting abused. If someone's getting abused, someone's getting abused. It's not okay. It's not okay. But I love that all that stuff is coming out, and these guys are paying the price, which is good. They need to.
Like when Corey Feldman mentioned Charlie Sheen as one of the people that I guess took advantage of Corey Haim or something,
right.
That kind of shocked me a little bit, because don't get me wrong, I mean, if it happened, then yes, he should be punished. But if it didn't actually happen and it, you know, was just the name that floated around or something like that, I mean, because I like Charlie Sheen, I do.
Well, look, here's the thing. I tend to come from the point of view of going, look, I think every victim needs to be heard.
For sure.
But this idea of everybody should be believed, no.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. That's not the way our judicial system works.
Exactly.
So if someone has a claim that somebody did something, it needs to be investigated immediately. If nothing is found, then that's the end of that.
Yeah.
And my problem is that there's a lot of people. Look, there are people who will weaponize a claim to hurt somebody, and by the way, it's not about the person they hurt. It's about all the other people who have serious claims, who have been assaulted, who have been hurt, who are hurt by those kind of claims. I will tell you, I have a good friend. I won't say who it is, but it's a major person in our industry.
Okay.
Who is such a defender of Michael Jackson? It shocked me. Like,
Well,
I never expected it. It's not the kind of person you would ever think would be defending Michael Jackson, but defended Michael Jackson to me in such a way. I was like, wow, like, good for you. You're really standing by this.
Oh, yeah.
Well done. Okay. And again, the man never went to trial. He was never convicted of a crime.
Nope.
That's an issue. Like, we do have a court. It is the way it's supposed to work. And so I think every victim should be heard, and every victim's allegation should be
Analyzed.
Should be, you know, people should investigate. Like, that should go to an investigative force to deal with it. Plain and simple.
The bottom line, it's innocent to proven guilty, and in the public's in the last 10 years or so, the public's went they're the opposite. They're guilty until proven innocent.
Everybody's guilty, and then suddenly, they didn't do it. That's a problem. Yeah. And again, I think I'm not up for mob mentality. I don't think it works.
Oh yeah. Well, and Johnny Depp, he went through that with Amber Heard, and all the women that he's ever dated, ever known, has never said or even thought of him as an abuser ever.
Yeah.
And they'll be the first to say that. But then Amber Heard, just because she's on a power trip or whatever, like, I heard that the new Aquaman, they cut her scenes either completely or down to like 5 minutes, something like that.
She's gone. Yeah.
Oh, she is gone. Okay.
She's just crazy. That's the problem with Amber Heard.
But again, look here again. The problem is that we are now so inundated in this idea of people's personal lives rather than the work that they're doing. And again, my only problem with all of this is that we're going to lose some great films, some great art, and not just the work of the person who was the abuser. we're going to lose the work of all the other people who created that art.
Yeah.
And that, look, let's be honest. Stanley Kubrick was not a very nice man. Alfred Hitchcock was a son of a bitch. These were not nice people. These were not nice guys. Yep. But you know what? I want to be able to look at their movies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm personally, I'm Jewish, and you look at someone like Leni Riefenstahl, who directed Triumph of the Will, right, which was really one of the movies that helped install Hitler to power in Germany.
Yeah.
Okay, so she is a co-conspirator in the Nazi Party. She is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. She's a disgusting piece of crap. She is a disgusting person. But you want to know something? She's a hell of a filmmaker.
Yeah.
And I've seen all of her work.
Yeah.
And you know what? I want to have access to that work. I want to be able to see that work. Because again, as a student of storytelling, I want to know how she said what she said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I just want the opportunity to see it. I don't want it to be canceled out of existence. I don't think anything should ever be canceled out of existence. I think it's
Well, yeah.
Cancel culture's got out of control.
It has. And it's funny because cancel culture's been around forever, because if you think about it, with like rock bands like Kiss, people tried to cancel them when they came out. So it's been around forever.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. There's always, everybody's going to have outrage about something.
Oh,
but, I agree with Stephen King when he says, the minute you hear that a book is getting banned in your local library, immediately go to a bookstore and buy a copy of that book. Read that book.
And what was it, like The Catcher in the Rye was one of them?
Oh, there's so many. But
that's one I remember.
It's somebody telling you shouldn't read that. No. If you tell me I shouldn't read it, then I gotta read it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but what if those books being banned are pornographic and shouldn't be shown to children?
Yeah, you know what though? I gotta tell you, man. I grew up with.
Have you seen any of the books that's current, that's being talked about?
Yes,
I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, I have.
I'm not for banning any books either, but there's a difference between exposing children to pornographic material than
without a doubt. But let's be honest. I mean, we live in a time when I love when people want to protect kids from pornography, yet they have a Netflix account that's just sitting on the television.
Read that too.
And they've got HBO, and they've got, full-on nudity, full-on simulated sex in half the shows that are on HBO. Or better yet, there's a computer or a phone in every kid's hand.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, like, this is literally a porn machine if you let a child have it. So
definitely.
The problem is that, again, a child reading a book, first off, getting kids to read, oh my God, whatever we got to do. Look, I'm someone who's like, hey, give them comic books because they'll read.
Yeah.
Like, a comic book is a gateway to reading for
kids. I got lucky with my kid. He's 15, and at first he didn't like the concept of reading, but he loves it now.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you're letting that child expand their brain and their possibilities of what the world looks like.
Well, imagination.
Am I interested in a kid reading softcore porn? No, of course not. But by the way, that's not. Again, I am totally for parents, and this includes films. Like when I've known kids that were like 8 seeing Jason Goes to Hell, I'm like, wait a minute, man, I didn't make that for an 8-year-old.
No,
it's too adult. What are you doing?
I was about to say, I was 5 years old when I watched Nightmare on Elm Street.
There you go. And by the way, are you okay?
I'm fine.
It turned out all right?
Yeah. Yes, I did.
Right.
It's not just the nudity. I mean,
and that's what my mom.
Well, these books are like teaching children how to.
No, I get that.
Perform sexual acts on each other. It kind of goes beyond.
I get what you're saying.
We can agree to disagree on this subject matter. Yeah, but the thing is but what we're doing is discussing it, and that's what a lot of people won't do.
Exactly. What they won't do. Yeah. Right. I agree with you. And look, for me, man, I am for every parent has the absolute right to take any book, any movie, anything out of a child's hand and go, no, this is not for you.
Yeah, exactly.
I just don't think it has a place in public education, state-run public education. If you shouldn't have that stuff in there if they're gonna,
Well, yeah.
it's just.
But I think the bar on that is very low for certain people.
Well, it's funny because
And
my
that's
mom
concern.
actually let me watch The Silence of the Lambs as a kid, but
Sure.
would not let me watch the Buffalo Bill tucking his dick in between his legs scene.
Yeah.
Cover your eyes.
I work,
Yeah,
by the way,
she literally did. Go into your room, let this scene pass, and then you can come back out.
by the way, that's one of the first movies I worked on.
I mean,
Really?
I'm not a conservative, I'm kind of a middle of the road person, but
Sure.
I love the nudity in your movie. That's one of the things I pointed out here.
You.
Like I did
Thank you.
we need more tits in movies.
I could not agree more. I think
Yeah.
we need more. I think we need more nudity in all of it. I couldn't agree with you more, man. I'm all
Speaking of, did you see? I don't know if you've seen it yet, but No Hard Feelings. Have you heard about any of it?
No, but I heard
Jennifer Lawrence.
I heard it's great, and I'm a big fan of hers anyway. I'm a huge fan of hers.
Yeah,
Jennifer Lawrence.
There's a nude scene with her in it. Like she comes out of the ocean.
Yeah,
and she's full frontal nude, full frontal. Like I mean, full and all the way around. I mean, you don't get any like definition really down below, but
sure.
But I mean, it's a full frontal shot.
You know what's amazing about that too? She's the producer of that movie. She's the one who got that movie made.
Oh, nice.
She produced it, and
like Margot Robbie, Wolf Street.
Absolutely. But look, here's the thing. There is a reason why look, movies are the dream factory, right? They're supposed to give us all the things that we aspire to, that we want in our life, that we find beautiful or erotic or whatever it is, right?
I'll be back.
There's no reason to not allow a film that's R-rated to go to a place where 17 and older can see all of that stuff. Absolutely. Yeah. And look, let's be honest, all of us. I mean, come on. When we were teenagers, we got our hands on nudie magazines, or we saw a porn movie. We did all that stuff. We did. Yeah. And the whole point is that yes, I'm not advocating for kids seeing anything they shouldn't see, but I saw Clockwork Orange before I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
I seen some pretty fucked up movies before I was 10 years old too.
Right. And
like
that
Hellraiser.
Right. There you go. That's
a prime example right there. Or my dad said that this movie scarred him as a kid, so he wanted to show me the movie too. Yeah. It was Cannibal Holocaust.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Woo. That is the deep end of the pool, my man.
I grew up on a farm, so like we had to kill animals too.
Sure.
So kind of showing that was more like a educational piece.
Sure.
Which is kind of fucked up to say, but
it's amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
I remember
very controversial, but I'm okay.
By the way, you know who loves that film? Loves that film.
Who's that?
Steven Spielberg and Francis Ford Coppola.
Both
love that film.
That's kind of not surprising, but pretty awesome to know.
Yeah. Because again, great filmmaking. Look, real filmmakers,
thinking outside the box.
People who really love film, they don't put horror or even extreme horror into a box and go, that's all crap.
Yeah.
It's you take each one and look at it for the merits of what that film gives you.
Yep.
And Deodato had like some incredible ideas and did some amazing things. Dude, the dude was brought up on charges in Italy of murdering those people.
Yeah.
Of making a snuff movie. He had to produce the cast. The cast had to show up in order for him to walk free.
The crazy part is that movie was made in the 70s.
Yep.
And watch it today. It looks like, just as you said earlier, that it was shot.
Oh yeah,
yesterday.
Practical effects.
Practical. The people that did the makeup and all the props, they made people really believe that those people died.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I love practical effects.
Yes.
I did want to talk to you about one thing. You did.
Sure.
I did. That's in the documentary I seen with you. Like as I got older, when I was I grew up. I was born in the late 70s. I grew up in the 80s, and that's usually when I did most of my horror watching. When I got older, I got into other genres, and not so much into. I'm not a horror guy myself. You know, I like film noir, westerns. I like a lot of the classic Hollywood.
Love it.
And you do. And what you said kind of resonated with me. You said what you didn't like so much like with the newer movies is they have got kind of what I interpreted as they've got kind of serious and really dark, and they kind of lost their camp and their comedy. And you did like comedy in your horror movies, and I agree with that. I think that maybe that's something I feel like I lost from watching those movies.
Sure. Everything's just gotten really look, and I understand it. There's a dourness in a lot of our horror now. There's a lot of sadness. Where, you know, most of our horror movies, especially in the 80s, horror was a bunch of kids go on a romp. And there's sex and drugs and woohoo, and it's a party and
it's an ass and everything.
There's a guy with a chainsaw. Oops.
Return of the Living Dead had it too.
Totally.
When she's dancing on the grave and everything, all nude.
Dead Alive was great.
Dead Alive is amazing.
I love Dead Alive.
Amazing film.
I'm actually Facebook friends with Beverly Randolph, who played the preppy girl in the Return of the Living Dead.
Yep. It's no. Listen,
kill for the Lord.
I am all for. I kick ass for the Lord. It's look. I think that there is. We've lost a certain sense of our fun and play.
Yeah,
and I think that's.
I agree.
A huge mistake. I think that's sad. And again, we're living in a serious world, man. And as I said earlier, you know, when the industry itself has to police itself, which we do have to, we need to police ourselves.
Yeah.
When people have to be held accountable for some really shitty behavior.
Yes.
It does start to darken everything around all of us. You know.
Mm-hmm.
That said, I am all for some fun, giddy, silly, over the top, great filmmaking that treats the audience like, hey, why don't you come in and have a good time?
Like Zombieland.
Totally. Well, look, but you know what? And again, it's funny. You guys brought up The Flash earlier.
Yeah.
What I liked about The Flash, what I thought was good about The Flash, was that here's a movie that's fun. Like, it didn't take itself too seriously.
Mm-mm.
Nope.
Where I look at the Snyder movies of the DCU and I go, woo, man, this is heavy.
It is heavy.
Really heavy.
Great Scott.
And heavy's fine sometimes. Like, I get it. I was just rewatching Prisoners this afternoon.
I love that movie.
It's an amazing film. So I love a good dark movie every once in a while, but man.
But not all the time, of course.
No, I gotta have a little Ted Lasso in my life. Like a little.
I agree with that.
Like, let's have some fun. You know?
I actually have a good question for you, because John, myself, and of course Sebastian at the bottom, we're all physical media collectors. Like, are you a supporter of physical media or digital, or like both?
Dude, I have in this house. There are 26,000 movies.
Oh shit!
Wow.
That's beautiful.
Then I should hook you up with Films at Home. His name's Jeff. He has his own podcast that's directly like supportive for physical media.
Oh well, I love that. I am a huge fan. Of physical media. No.
I'll have to hit him up.
I'm all about that. So
awesome.
No, I'm a physical media guy. All of our films, everything Skeleton Crew makes, we do physical media of every single one. So
cool.
We are big believers. Yeah,
that's great.
I know, because like Netflix and certain other streaming services don't do the physical media so much.
By the way, it's why we are in this fight right now. Why we're on strike. It's literally why we're on strike.
Hey guys, I just want to say I have to head out. I have a birthday dinner to go to. It was my birthday yesterday.
I do too, actually.
Happy birthday.
It was my birthday yesterday.
Yeah, happy birthday, man.
Happy birthday, dude. That's awesome.
I finally joined the 30s club, so
I'll be 40 next year.
Nice to have you. But it was lovely meeting you, brother.
And likewise,
have a good one.
And looking forward to seeing your next movies.
Yes, that's for sure.
And it was a pleasure meeting you, sir.
You too.
Have a
Thanks
nice
for
rest of
stopping
your night,
by.
guys.
See you, Seabass.
Have a good night, everybody.
See ya. Yeah, we usually do this stream like 2 hours, but it depends on your time frame of when and if you're able to and all that kind of stuff. Like Diane, apparently she does charge for her appearance. So
Oh, okay.
we
Well,
were I was only able to get an hour with her.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. But she was worth it.
she's amazing. She's awesome.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
she's great. Wish
Very
we'd have
nice.
seen more of her in her younger years. I wish
Mhm.
she'd have become more of a prominent actor. She was in the 80s, but then she kind of faded
Yeah.
away
Well,
in the 90s,
Our industry is not kind to women after they reach a certain age.
Yeah, I get
Never
that.
Yep.
It's funny
getting better
because
now, but
Yeah.
it's always been rough.
oh, definitely because Jamie Lee is still,
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
doing movies. So I don't see why she couldn't come back and do something. Like I made a suggestion because she was talking about like maybe having a convention where Keanu Reeves comes back to like
Sure.
reunite with the cast at a Comic-Con or some sort or whatever.
Sure,
And then I made the suggestion, well, why not be in the next John Wick that they're planning on doing? She could be
Well,
a French
usually-
spy.
love it.
Well, there's something to be said about that, I guess, in Sunset Boulevard, obviously.
Sure.
That's probably one of my favorite movies.
It's a great
Billy
film.
Wilder. Yeah.
Great film. Great
Yeah.
film.
Yeah.
Oh,
Billy
yeah.
Wilder
And I'm
was
a huge
also
Billy
kind
Wilder
of,
fan. Huge fan.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. Were you a fan
Yeah.
of Killer Clowns from Outer Space?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm always curious on that one because I mean, don't get me wrong, it has a big following, but
Uh-huh.
I'm sure there's some people that don't really care for it. So
Sure, but again, listen. Hey, I made Jason Goes to Hell for God's sakes. I am made of Teflon about stuff like this, and it's like for me, there's plenty of movies that I don't like or that I thought weren't great movies.
yeah,
I never find anyone's opinion of any of them wrong. It's like, no,
Mhm.
man, that's the love of film is that we all have different opinions and we're all
Oh,
able to talk about it and debate it. And that's the best part of movies is being able to
Okay.
kind of have a knockdown drag out with your friends over a movie that you loved and they hated or vice versa. I
yeah.
think that's one of the great things about film.
Well, I know that there
Right.
was talks of a second Killer Clowns in
Yeah.
general. How would you feel about that? And maybe you direct or something like that.
Well, dude, look, I think that that's easily a franchise that could have had more life without a doubt.
Oh yeah,
So,
definitely.
yeah, no, I mean it's no. I think it would be actually a great idea, and it's a good piece of IP. Everybody knows that movie.
Especially with practical
Are you-
effects.
Are you needing to get out of here?
Yeah, I gotta wrap it up.
Okay. I just seen your private chat there.
No
so
worries,
I
no
didn't-
worries, man. Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah,
You guys-
no,
you guys
if we
are
got to
amazing.
get going, that's totally fine. Yeah.
Cool. I appreciate that.
I
guys.
just
Thanks,
I just wanted to say I like your thing about the safe sex and that whole message you put in the movie.
Yep. Yeah,
with
I
the
wouldn't.
unsafe
wouldn't shoot
sex
the-
kills.
I wouldn't shoot the scene without.
Yeah.
They wanted me to do a sex equals death scene, and I was like, I won't do it. I just will not put that in my movie. I think that's a terrible thing to tell young people.
Mhm.
Having sex is going to kill them. However, if you're unsafe, oh well, no, that'll kill you. So
No,
okay.
definitely.
And it was great because every time the movie would play in an audience, the minute you would see her throw the condom away, everyone in the theater would be like, "Oh," because you just knew, like that's that. There's their death sentence. They're done.
Yeah. Well, Adam, thank you very much for joining us, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
it
my
was a pleasure to
absolute
have you on.
My pleasure, guys. You guys were awesome.
Yeah.
And I like that we were able to debate other subjects rather than just film.
Oh,
I thought that
yeah.
was amazing.
Well, 'cause
Absolutely.
We're
Absolutely.
moviegoers, and we want to know anything and everything we can, of course, but we're also human beings.
I love
So
it.
we
Yeah.
would rather treat you as a human than like say a statue.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love it, guys. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, thank you again, and everybody have a good night,
Absolutely.
and
See you
everybody
guys
stay
later.
safe.
Good night, y'all.
Good night.
See ya.
Later.